What's up guys, Travis here again with Lucky Tackle Box. I don't care if it's pitching, punching, flipping, I love going into the deep cover because that's where some big old bass can come from. Now, today, the key word is gonna be isolated cover. That's those random little patches of brush piles, tree limbs that you come over as you're throwing a reaction bait down a bank and you go, oh, look at that, there's a little brush pile down there. I should throw something, but I don't have anything tied up, and you keep going. You guys, that could be where some of the biggest fish are hiding out. Because it's the only one along that bank, that's where that big one, that's where the biggest fish in that area is gonna make its home, and that's where it's gonna be hanging out, ready to hit something that you flip into it. So today, we're gonna explain a nice general pitching outfit to have so that you can have something always on your deck, ready to flip those different isolated covers you come across. So we're gonna use Buddha Bait's brand new bait, the Baby Momma, to explain this general setup that you can use to fish the majority of the isolated cover you come across. All right, so let's talk about rigging this bait. First, I start with a bobber stopper. I want to keep that weight and the bait close together as it comes through that cover. Then I use a 3/8 to 1/2 ounce tungsten bullet weight. I need enough weight to get through the majority of the cover. And I feel that a 1/2 ounce is pretty good for that. You can go up to a 3/4 ounce or 1 ounce if need be. Next, I use Mustad's 3/0 flipping hook. And lastly, I Texas rigged the Baby Momma on there. This bait's perfect for sliding and getting through the wide variety of cover that you're gonna encounter. All right, for the gear I'm using, I like to go a little bit heavier with things. Right now I'm using 15-pound Seaguar fluorocarbon line, but if the water's a little stained or the structure that I'm around is real nasty, I'll switch over to about a 40 to 60-pound braid. Then as for the rod I'm using, I kind of want two different things out of my rod. I want the power to pull fish out, but I also want a little rod tip so I can really finesse this bait around and work it the way I need to depending on what the fishing situations are. So right now I'm using Castaway 6'8" heavy worm jig rod. And once again, that allows me, it's a shorter rod. It really allows me to get these angles and really flip this bait in the areas I want. And then I've got enough little tip that I can really work that bait up and down in little strike zones and stuff and feel for any kind of bites. Now for retrieval, I'm fishing this a couple different ways depending on the structure and then ultimately depending on how the fish are responding. When I'm pulling up to usually brush piles, wood, I'm going to actually just flip into it and I'm gonna let that bait slowly fall. I'm gonna control the fall all the way down to the bottom. Once it hits the bottom, I'm gonna shake it a couple times and then I'm gonna reel in and cast to the next target. A lot of times, once that bait hits the water and it's slowly falling down in that controlled fall, you're gonna get whacked. There we go. Oh, wow. Wow, you guys, this is the example I'm talking about. Wait till you see this fish. Holy cow. Dude, what a hog. Come here, baby. Come here. Oh, my Lord. This is exactly what I'm talking about. We're coming down the bank, throwing a spinnerbait and stuff, and we come up to these little brush piles and stuff hanging over. So I pick up the pitching rod, fire this Baby Momma in there, and as this thing is slowly sinking, whoop, I just got hammered on it, and that's the big bruiser. These bigger baits, or these bigger fish, like to be in some heavier cover. And oh my Lord, this is the kind of fish that makes your day a little bit better out there. Holy cow. Now, if it's grass, if the structure is actually just floating on top, like some bent over tules or some hyacinth, different kinds of grass that are on top, and it's just basically the fish are underneath it, but there's nothing in between, I'm going to cast up to that mat, shake it through, and once that bait goes through, I'm gonna keep that bait up on top for the beginning, because a lot of times those fish are looking for crawdads and bait fish feeding up in there, and they're looking up to feed. But really you wanna see what the fish end up responding to. You wanna be changing it up and stuff because you've gotta figure out how these fish want this bait presented, because once you get bit once, you've got to take a note on how you got hit and try to repeat that down the line. As far as locations with this thing, it's really, you're throwing this bait anywhere you can't get other baits. So as I'm going down a bank throwing a crankbait, spinnerbait, buzzbait, whatever it is, and I come up on some isolated cover, chances are that's where that bigger fish in the area is gonna be hanging out, especially if that's the only piece of cover there. So I'm gonna pick up my setup here and flip in, and I can really pick apart that little piece of cover with an effective lure. And once I work that area, either I catch the fish or I don't, I just reel back up, pick up the reaction bait or whatever I was using before that, keep going down the bank until I run into more isolated cover. But a lot of my favorite stuff is brush piles, trees, any kind of grass. Fish love grass, fish love tules. Anytime you run across that, pick up your flipping setup, make a couple casts, and then keep moving through. Guys, I don't ever leave the dock without a pitching setup on my deck. The reason being is there's so many times I'm out on that water that I'm having a tough day, struggling a little bit, and all of a sudden I come across a little brush pile, some floating grass, I pick up that pitching setup, shake it down in there, and chuck, ching, 5-6 pounder in the boat. That'll turn your day around real quick. So make sure you guys start making a habit of doing the same and tie on this little Buddha baits, Baby Momma, because it's a perfect all-around bait for those different isolated structures you're gonna be seeing. And I promise you're gonna like the overall average of your fishing days. Once again, guys, Travis here with Lucky Tackle Box. If you enjoyed the video, give us the thumbs up. Comment in the section below, and also check the description box for any links to the gear and tackle we used in the video. Peace.